No insult about the band. Where'd B go? As a founding bass player for the Big Love Band, that's a compliment. And I want to compliment you all for creating a beautiful service. I mean, I feel already fed, so this may be superfluous. Oh, look at that. We still have the clock in the back. Perfect. And you know what I used to not do when I was here is I would see the clock, but I'd forget to notice what time I started. This morning, I actually see what time I've started. Which doesn't mean I'm going to end at a particular time. It just means I know when I started. So, flowing ground, which I thought was a strange topic for the holidays. You know, it's like, what are we really talking about here? So I had to do some work and go within and say, you know, what is going on here? What is happening? And I came to the realization that this is a time of renewal. If we go back to our ancient wisdom societies, they celebrated this time of year as a time of renewal because December 21st is the shortest day of daylight, and after that, every day gets a little bit more daylight. You start seeing buds on the trees and all those kinds of things. And so in the ancient, but when Constantine was alive, he was referred to now as a pagan. I don't like that terminology. He was not participating as a Christian or a Jew or any of the other things, but he was a Mithrist. And the Mithricism celebrates the birth of Sol, sun god, on guess what day? December 25th. Guess who codified Christianity as the Roman Empire's religion? Constantine, the pagan. So, it is a time of renewal. It is a time of rebirth, and it's represented in the winter solstice, the Sol, as I just mentioned, and Jesus. Jesus was the representative of the new model for mankind. And I mean that in the all-inclusive definition of mankind, not just the man part of mankind. So, Ernest Holmes, there's a tape not a tape, there's a CD that I listened to, I can't tell you how many times as I drove my 35,000 miles a year to clients in Southern California, that says, there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it. And he wasn't talking about someone out there can use it or only he could use it. He meant that we, you and I, can use it all the time. And that's kind of daunting. That's kind of like, oh my God, that means I could do stuff beyond what I'm doing now. Maybe have stuff beyond what I have now. And not necessarily stuff, but a kind of life, a way of being in the world. And I can't remember where I got this mantra, or maybe I made it up, but that happens from time to time. The universe is always conspiring for my highest good. And some people said, I don't know about that word conspiring. And I said, well, I kind of like it. I like it from the aspect of it's saying that there's something happening in the background all the time. It's not necessarily with a specific intention in the universe. Oh, there we go. That power for good in the universe. That power for good is that thing that can flow in through and as us. That power for good is that thing that can lift us up to something new. But it can only do it if we've got a picture of what we would like it to do. What Ernest Holmes called the mental equivalent. That thing here that says, I know where I'm going. Well, how do we get there? How do we get there? So the other part of this renewal is the thing that many of us have gone through, is either formally or informally or goal setting or whatever, into what is my new year going to look like? There are probably some of us who are already thinking about, well, it's December 15th and January 1st is right around the corner. You're probably going to do a burning bowl ceremony here. I know that we used to do it back in my day. And I know that the Center for Spirit, it's interesting, the Center for Spiritual and Cultural Coast. So I served at CSLCC here, and I serve at CSLCC there. Sometimes I get confused. New Year's resolutions. What are you saying in those? What have you said in your resolutions if you've done them? Anybody do a resolution in the past or set a new goal for the year or whatever? How firmly did you set the picture of that thing? If it didn't quite turn out the way you wanted to, or it didn't turn out at all, or 3 weeks into the new year, you forgot what it was. It's about declaring what it's going to be. Buckminster Fuller says you never change things by fighting the existing reality. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. Someone in that book they call the Bible said something about what you resist persists. Well, that would be fighting your existing reality. We don't want to fight that existing reality. We want to let it go. And one of Michael Beckwith's lines is to fall back into the nothingness from which it came. Think about that. Fall back into the nothingness from which it came. Thank you for the reading from Michael, by the way, my friend and teacher. Some of my good and bad habits come from him as a minister. But what Fuller is saying is let go of the story. And I know lots of people, and including my dear wife Deborah, had stories about the holidays. I have stories about the holidays that I'd like to just not have be part of my story any longer. So how do we do that? We have to tell, not fight, I can't think about that, I can't think about that, I don't want to think about that. What do we want to think about? What is the story we want to tell? Fuller goes, to change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. I just love that. Makes the existing model obsolete. And when I read that, I said, I have to use that. So it takes that prior model and just says, it's too small. I'm too big for that. I have too much good flowing through me. I have the universe available to me to live through and as me to have that old model. So we're telling a new story. It is telling a new story. In prayer treatment, you have the 5 steps of recognition that God is everywhere present, right? And then we have unification. I'm one with that. And then we have the most important step. Early on, Holmes called it declaration. We call it realization, declaration. I like declaration from the point of view of saying, this is my truth. My truth now. Whatever it was before is gone. Now there is the opportunity that Holmes outlines to do a prayer of denial, which takes it from 5 steps to 6 steps. Oh my goodness. What is that 6th step? That 6th step says, that story is no longer my truth. It's not the truth of my being. It's not who I am or who I want to be. Who I want to be is what I'm going to declare now. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be flowing. I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be loved. Whatever it is, it's your story. It's not for me to define. If you did ask me for prayer, I would ask you what it is you want, and then I would declare that for you. Or any one of these wonderful practitioners that you have will declare that for you. Because as practitioners, our job is to know your truth. Not my truth for you, but your truth as it exists for you. Releasing that old story. When I pray for somebody who's got some type of illness, there's always that step that says, I know whatever condition is not the truth of whomever I'm speaking this word for. And that's where we come from. We let that go. We make that old model obsolete. I had two clean sheets, but as you can see, I kind of messed them up in the room over there. So, if, for example, you're in a job situation, a relationship situation, a remembrance of the holiday situation, whatever it might be, stop telling that story the way you're telling it today. Oh, easy for you to say. I got dubbed Rev G by the group that I invited to participate on this very stage. We did kirtan here on once a month for about 3 years, and the J.I. at the end is is an honorific that the Hindus bestow on people, and they started calling me Rev G toward the end of that. So that's where that came from. But we're moving into this creating a mental equivalent of what it is you want to be, do, have from this day forward. And what you're doing when you declare that is you're telling the universe more of this stuff, and you've already denied the old stuff, none of that stuff. If you're feeling confused, that's the message you're giving the universe. If you're feeling really clear, that's the message you're giving the universe. Holmes on, I can't remember the page number, but it's the first paragraph of chapter 13 in a New Design for Living. He says, you're always being a success. It's just a matter of what kind of success you've decided to be. And when I read that paragraph, I said, oh man, Ernest, don't hold back. I mean, the whole paragraph basically says, you're as successful as you've been in your thinking up to this point in your life. Wham! But he tells us we have that opportunity to change it. And that's what this whole science of mind thing is about. I love the affirmations for the new minister and who we are as a center here. And it's that knowing, to have the gratitude of knowing that you can declare something new in your life. The gratitude of knowing that that power and presence is behind you in every moment. Is that power and presence can rise up through you as you allow it to flow. Allow it to be that growth. Allow it to be the expression of you in this world. And you may have to do some work. You may have to get really clear with the message that you have been giving the universe. Really clear in the energy that you may be in some resistance about or sitting in denial about in terms of recognizing what that truth is. But I can tell you from personal experience, when you recognize where you've been stuck, journal, pray, get counseling. You've got wonderful practitioners who can do counseling with you, and find out what that thing is. Understand what it is you need to release. That thing that you need to make obsolete in your life now. That thing that is no longer serving you. A gift I was given by the practitioner I used to see in Los Angeles one day was I release anything that would keep me small. Think about that. I release anything that would keep me small. The same practitioner gave me the other gift, which I hear echoed in some of the words here of prayers that we had before service, which was to ask for this transformation that you're seeking to occur in an environment of grace and ease. I know Reverend Shell's name was up there earlier, and I know that she and Leland have grace and ease engraved on the inside of their wedding bands. You should ask them the next time you see them. But they borrowed that concept. So if you're releasing anything that would keep you small, and you're doing that with grace and ease, you're just allowing it to be part of the flow. So flow doesn't just necessarily mean coming in and lifting you up. It also means that flow out of you of the stuff you don't need anymore. So it's a circulation, a circulatory activity of taking in and letting go. You're not just taking it all in and trying to hold it and manage it. You're letting it go. What does your body do? I won't get gross about this, but your body releases the stuff it doesn't need. What happens when it keeps that stuff? Not good things. Well, the same thing happens here with our consciousness, our being. We got to let it move. There's a practitioner. If you've seen oh God, what are the names of those movies? The Matrix movies, and they had the character, the Oracle. There was a practitioner in Los Angeles at Agape who was kind of like the Oracle. And if you told her something about what was going on in your life that wasn't negative, that was negative and all this story stuff, she'd pat you on the hand and say, "Tain't so." That's denial. That's absolutely denial. She denied, "Tain't so." She also used to say, and those of you whose faces I recognize, you probably heard me say this 100 times, if there ain't no flow, there ain't no grow. Ain't no flow, there ain't no grow. So we want to be in this flow of the flowing ground. The flowing ground that says that we're moving all the time. Whether you like it or not, you're moving. You're moving forward. You just took another breath, and that breath is going to lead to the next breath and the next breath. And every now and then I read something that says we take 20 to 30 breaths a minute. That just sounds like a lot. Our heart is beating. Well, mine averages around 46 beats per minute. Most people are faster than that. Mine, it used to be faster. When I was younger, it was faster. I'm not quite sure I understand why it's going slower now, but it's there. And every now and then I was doing exercise the other day, and it actually went up to 112, I think. It's like, oh my God, what you doing in there, buddy? But we're flowing, we're moving, we're into this movement forward, releasing that stuff that doesn't serve us, releasing that stuff that would keep us small, and we're growing into this new space. We're expanding into this new space, new ways of doing new things, new ways of thinking about the world around us, new ways of allowing the universe to be that energy that lifts us on high. And thank you, Colette, for the beautiful music, which basically facilitated that. I mean, I just felt like you guys just did a beautiful job of everything. And Hunk of Burnin' Love. I'm going back to Sarasota and telling them they need to watch the video. We were literally, so I'm in the band there, and we were talking about music yesterday and talking about what should it be, how should we do it, do we want to play? We only do once a month, to my disappointment. I'd love to be up there every Sunday. And you know, we're talking about what kinds of things we can do. So you guys are a shining example, so thank you. Yeah. I was actually here when Cassie sang her first song on this stage, right? Oh, goodness. Whew. So I want to end with this, which is one of my all-time favorite Ernest Holmes quotes. So we've talked about mental equivalent. We talked about making that past stuff obsolete, whatever it is and whatever you got going on right now. You're creating that mental equivalent of where you're going. And Ernest Holmes says, and he says it different ways. It's in the textbook, but I took the quote that was attributed to him at his sermon by the sea, which he did, I think, in his last year or next to last year. And this is at a Silmar up in the Carmel area. He says, find me one person who is for something and against nothing. For something. And it just, first time I read that, I said, that's it. We want to be for it. Before whatever that thing is. And against nothing, because as I said earlier, what we resist persists. Because when you're resisting something, you're holding on to it. And there are some people that tell us our minds can't hold two thoughts at the same time. So if you're still resisting, you're really not able to hold the thing you want to be for. So we let it go because it's keeping us small, and we think about what we're for. And then he goes on to say, so he says, find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough to not. Let me start over. I misread. He who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of their soul. And I will find another Savior, another genius, another exalted being. When I first read that part, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm hopeless. I can't attain to that. But he's not saying that there's only one out there. He's saying that we can do that. We can be that rebirth. We can be that birth of the new year, the new life that is happening at this time of year. We can step forward and step into that forness of moving forward with that one thought or group of thoughts, whatever construct we're working, and evolve into that new model of being, that new way of being in the world. And that's what I see as possible for each and every one of us. Each and every one of you, myself, and all those out there. You know, when Ron Frost and Fondy Frost came here, they gifted us with a new sign. And we had just done a visioning about 3 weeks before they came that said that the Center for Spiritual Living Cape Coral was going to be a beacon of conscious light for the community. And as I was driving up, I was telling my friend Jan, it says, when that sign went up, you turn the corner from Hancock, come down, and about 2 blocks in, you could see that sign. And we were like, oh my word, we are the beacon. So we are the beacon here. You are the beacon here. We release this and we move into this truth about realizing this renewal of ourselves. And we bring that renewed self to everyone we meet, become the blessing and be the positive presence on the earthly plane. And in this, we are able to ride the crest of the flowing universe, riding the crest of the flowing universe as it flows in through and as you and carries you forward. Let's pray together. So we just take a moment, take a breath, center yourself right where you are. And just take a moment of gratitude for knowing that you are right here. You are right here and right now. You are present. You are present in this moment of knowing who and what and whom's you are. And we know that there is one power, one presence in the universe flowing constantly. It doesn't stop. It doesn't take a coffee break. It is moving all the time, right here and right now. In through and as you, in through and as everyone in this room, and even the people that don't know outside of this room. And in this, we know that we are one in it. We flow in it. We move in it. There is a unity that flows as our being right here and right now. So I know this truth. I know that there is the possibility of releasing any past that we might be holding on to in this moment. There's the possibility of knowing each and every one of us that that is not the truth of whom we are. And I know this for each one of you. I know that whatever untruth you're telling about yourself, that it can easily be released. because the joy of knowing of that new thing that you can be is so exciting, so exhilarating, so joyful, so expanding that you can't even hold on to that old thing. You step up into a new way of being, a new way of living, a new way of expressing yourself on this earthly plane. And I know it's possible right here and right now. And it is with great gratitude that I simply release this word, knowing that as I throw it out like the bread on the water, that it comes back to me fulfilled and filled full. That the universe is there just waiting to receive it and deliver all the possibility to each and every one of us. So it is in that gratitude that I release this word, knowing, again, that it is already done and already the truth in each and every one of us right here and right now. And we can say in great agreement, and so it is. Love and blessings.